So welcome back. Good afternoon. Hope it was a good lunch. We have a session at 3 with Professor Pathik in University of Southampton. He'll be coming over video call. Am I right? Or Skype, whatever. So meanwhile, we will continue very quickly on the idea of value. So we were discussing about the first concept, dimension of value, first component dimension of value, which is existential. Okay, and we have seen that existence happens on two planes, or there are two aspects, which is physical existence and mental existence. And I've already discussed that both are important. So value is derived by our existence, okay, and our attempts to exist. So we actually create and we even generate value and experience it ourselves and share it with others. Okay. The point is that there's no point in physical survival with a destroyed mind, and obviously we know nothing about mental survival without a physical survival. We don't know anything. Okay. So, but as I was pointing out earlier in the pre-lunch session, when we talk of value and survival, we should talk of survival with dignity and honor. It's not survival without dignity and honor. And this is an important point, because a lot of social enterprises are in the space of providing dignity and honor. I gave you a couple of examples like hospices, or even if you look at the relatively more recent concept of even old age homes, some of which are social enterprises, and orphanages, etc., or places where destitute people are given some kind of shelter. So dignity and honor is being given by them. There are many agencies which do that. One of the very famous or very widely known cases is the Baba Amte's ashram in Anandwan in Maharashtra, where Baba Amte, considered by many of his admirers as almost a saint, he created a space for lepers, people who suffered from leprosy. Because in normal society, people don't get the dignity and honor when they are lepers, isn't it? So like this, there are many issues. And even there are a few social enterprises today who work in the space of providing dignity and honor and enabling transgenders to derive dignity and honor through their capabilities. So this is where we are looking at social spaces. As Stephen Morning pointed out in the morning, these are all vulnerable sections of society: destitute, orphaned children, old people thrown out on the roads, transgenders, isn't it? So these are all, or even I would say, I'm sure you know of a lot of social work happening in India in the space of removing bonded labor, another vulnerable section of society. And it's a sad thing that even today we are not completely away from bonded labor, although there is a lot of effort to get people out of bonded labor. Now, why am I making these points? It's not there in the slides, but you can make note, because of a point I shared with you before lunch. As teachers, we should enable our students, we should encourage them, we should enthuse them, we should inspire them, we should urge them to discover value transfer opportunities. So this term is very important. How do we make them discover these opportunities? So obviously we have to point to them that, look, these are the opportunities where there is space for you to contribute value, either directly or indirectly. Okay, there is a reason I am talking of directly or indirectly. The reason is, when somebody is directly contributing value to these vulnerable sections, or even, as I told you, it could be animals, or it could be an environmental space. I gave you a lot of examples, isn't it? All of you know, for example, even in Delhi, there are lots of people working in the space of protecting the Yamuna river from more or greater pollution. There are a lot of people in Delhi now fighting against the air pollution that is happening. So even the natural environment of soil, water and air, and protecting forests and special ecological areas like marshlands or even deserts, so these have all become very, very important. So these are the spaces where, as teachers, we point to our students saying, there are so many opportunities for you to directly contribute to them, either as a social worker or as an enterprise. The only difference is in an enterprise context, there is a certain other dimension beyond only the value transfer. This is what I wanted to tell you, which I will clarify. Okay, we will discuss that aspect. Okay, what is it that's beyond the value transfer? Okay, so this is important. I hope this point is clear. So survival with dignity and honor is what we are talking about. Okay, so I want to assert that once again, the highest value that can be experienced by any one of us, or the value that we can transfer or give to somebody, is the value of survival with dignity and honor. In fact, do you agree this is what we try to give our children actually? We try to give our children, teach our children that they must survive with dignity and honor. Okay? So that is very, very important. So this is what social enterprises, in fact even profit-centric business enterprises attempt that. The whole basis of even business in a profit-centric context is also based on the idea of dignity and honor, except that it sometimes goes much beyond dignity and honor, even to vulgarity, as I will show you now. I just wrote some sentences now. Now you can see this. So in order to ensure physical survival, we breathe air, we sleep, we drink clean question mark water. I hope all of you understood why I put question mark. Are we really drinking clean water is a big question. Okay, and are we really breathing pure air is a big question. In fact, the less said the better about what's happening in Delhi. Today considered among the, or if not the worst polluted city on the planet, isn't it? So all these questions are, we eat nutritious food, really, how much of our food is really nutrition? Because the body actually needs nutrition, but whether we are actually providing that nutrition in a balanced manner is a big question mark. Are you getting it, sir? So there are social enterprises working in the health space to ensure people live a physically healthy life. So many opportunities are there. Okay, and there are many other things we all do. So we are also not talking of only the act of survival, the last point. We also should talk about the quality of survival. All right, I am surviving, but how well am I surviving? How good is my quality of survival? Which is another big question, because it's linked to the idea of dignity and honor. Okay, so let's say we'll do this. Here are a set of questions. For instance, why do people who can afford air conditioners buy and use them in summer in Chennai or Mangalore? Why? Everybody cannot afford air conditioners, but there is a business around air conditioning. So in Chennai, I'm sure all of us know that when summer comes, it can be quite difficult for people to sleep without an air conditioner, especially if one looks for even what I would call as some simple comforts. The fan alone is not enough. Okay, so this is a question, why do people do that? Now I ask that question so that all of us are convinced that quality of life is an important aspect. I hope you got it. It's not that I am living, that is one aspect. The other, how well am I living? So how comfortable am I without hurting the environment? So these balance questions come in. Why do people buy and use expensive spring mattresses when a simple cotton or silk cotton mattress should do? Why do people go and eat in 5-star hotels? Why do people buy hyper luxury cars, spending even as much as 8 crores or 9 crores when a simple Maruti Alto should do? I always ask this question, because if you are in Chennai traffic, how the hell does it matter whether you are on a Mercedes Benz or a Maruti Alto? Speed is going to be the same. I hope you got it. The only thing you can say is, okay, I am in a much more comfortable car. But I don't think, given the kind of reasonable comforts that are available today in cars, the difference is going to be so much between a Mercedes Benz and maybe say even a much lesser car. So all these questions come. And like this, why do people live in uber luxury homes? I mean, this is something which you might laugh at, with 5 or 6 bedrooms and with private swimming pools and baths with golden taps and fixtures, when only 1 or 2 people actually live inside the home. Okay. So why do people do all this? So these questions should convince all of us and our students that quality of life is also an issue when you come to entrepreneurship in general. I hope all of you got this idea. As teachers of entrepreneurship, we should open up both opportunities. One, the opportunity space for entrepreneurship and business entrepreneurship, which are already, you've put your neck into. The space for social entrepreneurship also, I hope you got it, which is a relatively disadvantaged people who may not be getting into the space of business entrepreneurship. So we should try to open up both. Both are legitimate for us. I hope I'm clear. Although our program has a focus on social entrepreneurship, I'm generalizing that as teachers of entrepreneurship, we should try to enable them to look at both. Because eventually, there is a logic with which we are working. Okay? Yes, Stephen. Yeah.
Sometimes we get stuck in one way. In colleges, in our departments, we come across this question. Is it the first way to start the entrepreneurship and slowly getting into social entrepreneurship,
okay,
or straight away we get into social entrepreneurship? Okay. Students will ask these questions. Because some of the people who come for us for any discussions or pep talk that they used to come, someone will come and say that let us start your own enterprises, then slowly see how we can become a social enterprise.
Very good.
My question is whether the entrepreneurship and social entrepreneurship can start a separate entity, or entrepreneurship should start, only then it will lead to social enterprises.
Okay.
Probably.
Okay. The answer is visible, Stephen. Both coexist in our world. This is a fact. It is an observable, verifiable fact that both coexist in the world. So where is the correct answer? I would say the correct answer is in good judgment of the concerned people. How well they judge the situation. Now, what is it that should be judged? This I am not putting in the slides, but you can please make notes if you wish. This is why we teach them SWOT analysis. That is strengths, weaknesses, opportunities and threats. Okay. If I may use the board now, this will be useful. Okay. I need more pens. There's only one pen. I don't know whether this writes or not. I'll have to experiment. And there's no wiper also. I need pens and I need the wiper also. If there is dirty cloth or something, please get it. Okay. So meanwhile, while he comes, let me do this. Hey, by the way, sorry. No, I was worried because sometimes they put a permanent marker there. That's why. This is one reason why I don't like whiteboards, because you can see all this background noise. I still feel nothing like our good old black or green chalkboard. Not only that, you get almost 12 to 15 color chalks. In this you have only 4 colors. I have seen only 4 colors. That is the blue, the black, the red and the green. I somehow feel we are reducing our degrees of freedom and say we are developing, It's very strange. It's really strange for me. Okay. Anyway, the reason I said that, this is where we talk of weaknesses and strengths. And please note this, threats and opportunities. Okay. So, Stephen, I'm giving an answer to your question. Where did the answer start? First, the observation that both coexist. It's a verifiable fact. I hope all of us agree. In the world around, you see both. In the sense that there are some people who straight away dive into social entrepreneurship. Is this true or not? And there are people who went into business entrepreneurship and then transformed to social entrepreneurship. There are people who stuck to business entrepreneurship. I'm telling you something very interesting. There may even be, if we care to do some research, there may even be cases of people who started with social entrepreneurship and transformed into business entrepreneurship. If we do research, I'm sure we'll be able to dig out. So what is the first observation? I mean, after all, as teachers, first you observe. Observation is there are all combinations which are happening there in the reality. Now can we step one step deeper? So why is this happening? One good logical reason could be that the concerned people went into a process of judgment. Judgment of what? Judgment of A, the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities and threats. Are you getting it? And in more detail, B, that judgment of the risks in their perception. What are the risks that they are facing? So in all entrepreneurship, as we discussed in the morning, one of the key differentiators between a manager and the entrepreneur, please note, this point we did not discuss explicitly, but I did mention this point. The critical differentiator other than value creation, morning I told you entrepreneurs create value. The other critical differentiator is entrepreneurs own risk because they create value. Please understand this. Because they create value, they own the risk. Managers don't own the risk. I mean, the entire organizational risk is not with the manager. The manager holds functional risk. I hope you got it. The manager does not own the organizational risk. Whereas, sir, this is a very important point in telling our students. You must teach them an entrepreneur owns the complete risk. So if the entrepreneur bombs, the organization bombs. Whereas if a manager bombs, that function in the organization goes for a toss. Is that right or wrong? Okay, please note, this is a critical differentiator. So entrepreneurs are people who create value, and entrepreneurs are people who own the full risk. And this happens because what I pointed out in the morning. The moment you create value, you're automatically generating risk. I told you, value is created at risk. You may recall the earlier bullet point we wrote. You cannot create value without risk. Impossible. So judgment, risk has to be judged.
That means that leads to another question.
Sure, on.
Yeah, that's why.
No, on the mic. No, the reason is, for his recording, this is important.
See, now the question is, where do I take risk? I'm willing to take risk because I want to create value in that. But I do not know whether am I taking calculated risk or I am taking a risk which is beyond my control.
Sir, that is exactly why I use the word judgment, subjective judgment.
Subjective judgment.
Yes, there is no objective evaluation of risk. You are the sole judge of your risk. It is not correct on my part to give you, I can transfer my estimate of your risk. But the experience of risk is yours, it's not mine.
My question is, how do we train our students to understand?
There are risk assessment methodologies. Correct. There are risk assessment methodologies. The point I was making, Stephen, sir, I hope all of you are understanding this point. Please, nice, sir, nothing wrong. This is a subject where these questions are relevant. We can go along a thread, come back to the backbone, just hub and spoke model, which go. Okay. So you can always come back to the hub, sir. You can go on a spoke, come back to the hub and then proceed on another spoke. There is nothing wrong. So nothing wrong. Please ask whatever. Do you agree with these two observations? When entrepreneurs create value, they automatically are prone to risk. No choice. Then comes the question, which Stephen asked, is there a way I can manage my risks intelligently? Answer is yes. But what do you mean by managing risk intelligently? There are many things. First point is the risk itself. What is the nature and content of the risk? Is it a reputation risk? Is it a financial risk? Is it a personal risk? Is it a legal risk? Are you understanding, sir? Is it a physical risk? I hope you got it. So all these matter, no? So to help you understand this, I have one or two friends who will never fly in a plane because they say, I want to avoid an air accident. I will not fly in a plane. But that is their way of managing their risk. Are you understanding? They are more confident in a train than in a flight. Despite the fact that the risk of an accident in a flight is significantly lower than the risk of an accident in a train or in a car. Somehow in their mind they feel I am on the ground, I am safe. I hope you got this. So Stephen, first point, please convey to the students, risk perception is person dependent. Who is perceiving the risk? What is that person's internal, internal mechanisms to model that risk in the mind? See, first thing is we all should understand risk is a feeling. It is a feeling. And it can vary, same risk. Now, a very important point from the point of view of business. It is because people have different risk perception, the market exists. Please don't forget that. The market for good exists to a large extent due to differing risk perceptions of people. Yeah. Yeah, because parents need education, Stephen. It's not the students. Very often you and I need better education there.
The whole culture, the whole cultural dimension, how the perception of risk is manifested in
So, very good point. We will tackle this differently, but I'll give you a quick answer. I'll give you a very quick answer. A lot of our...
Nowadays, most of the parents like to taking a risk.
I don't know. I mean, sir, very simple, sir. We are all intelligent people. Let us say, as of now, we do not have survey data on the risk propensity of parents. Is the correct statement to say. What you can say, sir, is, I know of some parents who are okay. He will say, I know of parents who are not that way. So, correct academic question is, let's do a survey. Are you understanding? It is the correct academic position then. What is the risk? Correct, sir? So, none of us knows exactly what proportions there are. We know that both exist. So, our question as intelligent people is, to what extent do both exist? We are not saying no, but to what extent? For that you need a survey. Correct, sir? Sir, the answer to your question now pointed is the judgment of SWOT. Now, what is it that people say, even in this you can tell your students, where their understanding and judgment of themselves is, it's an area of strength for them. Suppose the students say, I am strong. I know that I am strong. I am confident that I am strong. Point number one, I know there is a business opportunity there. In what value they want to transfer. Are you getting it, sir? The opportunity or threat relate to the market around and the regulators' positions. These two relate to competitors and regulators and customers. Customers, competitors and regulators. That is this space. This is internal, the entrepreneur. So point number one, entrepreneur says, in my judgment, I am confident, I know that I am strong. I hope you got it. Judgment. Okay. Second, the entrepreneur, now this is why we do market surveys. I hope you got it. So market survey, hopefully it's done correctly, tells the entrepreneur there's an opportunity. There's a huge market there. Okay. There are many examples I can give you in this space, but we are not getting into that. We are not getting into those business examples. But only one so that you're very, very clear. Who are the big leaders in soft drinks? Coca-Cola and Pepsi. Do you know of a third guy who is doing very well? No, Bovento is local. India-wise, Sprite Sprite is, I think, Coca-Cola company, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, somebody correct me. Tropicana is also Pepsi. Masa alla da. Eduthu parunga. Ellathiyum eduthu parunga. It will be either Coca-Cola or Pepsi. I may be wrong in identifying. I'm sorry. Don't hold me to that. Soft drinks Amul engama soft drinks pannanga. They do badam milkshake, etc. I am telling you in the soft drink space, there is one. How many of you know of Paper Boat? You see, that guy is succeeding throughout. And Paper Boat company creates a totally new space, opportunity. He says, I will enter a space where neither Coca-Cola nor Pepsi are present. And what is that space? Armrest. What is that? What is that? That Maharashtrian. Armrest, Ampanna, Armrest, Chili Guava, Kokum. Am I right? So he says, I'll operate in a space where these guys don't exist there. and he succeeds. Was the opportunity there or not? But by the way, I am giving you a space in business. Okay, so please understand this. So the heuristic, I mean the thumb rule is, where you are strong, please tell your students, where there is evidence of opportunity, exploit. Exploit. Exploit is a neutral word, it's not a negative word. Please don't take it in a negative sense, in an undesirable way. Exploitation is a fair word. You take advantage of that opportunity because you are also strong. Where you are strong and there are threats in terms of competition levels in the market, that means you are strong, but there is competition, you engage. You engage. Clear, sir? You engage the competition. Why? Because you're strong. You're saying, I'm bloody strong. I'll meet you guys. Come on, let's play together. We compete. Where you are weak, where the student or the potential entrepreneur knows that there is, he or she is not strong, or the group itself is not strong, but there is an opportunity. Because nobody is there in that space, you explore. You explore that space. There are people who are coming into this. There are people who are coming into this. They are not very, very strong, but they explore the space. They are among the pioneers to do this. Okay? One good example given in this space is the packaged dates business. The person was generally there, you know, it was not a string, but then it became a multi-million dollar business. The opportunity was there. Person captures the market. I hope you got this idea. In fact, sometimes people give of sachet products also in this very often. That originally, if you judge, they were really not into that business. But then they find that there is a huge opportunity. You explore and you exploit. Okay? And this, of course, where the person is in his own judgment weak, and there are threats, too much of competition, too much of regulation, customer base is shaky, you escape. So Stephen, sir, that's the answer. This coupled with your risk perception. I hope all of you are clear, sir. Please do not forget, you can underscore, no substitute to good subjective judgment. And good subjective judgment can be made on a sound basis of knowledge and data. Yes or no? Talk with data. Don't bullshit. Give me data. Then you judge. I hope this is clear. Okay, one sec. Subha, Sandeep Kudungo, time aayiduthu. No, 3 o'clock, because that call is there, I didn't know. Sir, are we clear, sir? I know I meandered, but it's useful. Now we'll get back. So are these points clear? Okay. So the answer is, Sandeep, I'm closing this part so that you can connect with. The answer is actually very simple. It's all about the perceived quality of life, coupled with the intention to distinguish. Why do people buy Mercedes-Benz cars? Why do people buy Porsche? Or why do people buy Lexus? Why? Because they want to differentiate. I am separate. I have arrived. You know, I'm superior. That tendency is there in many human beings. Ego, sir, basically. Okay? And I live in a Porsche. I live in Poise Garden. I live in, what is this area, man? Near Turnbull's Road. What is this area? Illa sir, Abhirampuram illa, the upper middle. Oh, Boat Club. I live in Boat Club area. I live in Poise Garden. I live in Rutland Gate. You know, these are special areas, isn't it? So why? Because they want to distinguish. But the curious nature of human beings, at the same time they will also say principle of equality. Now please understand, this imbalance itself is a gap for entrepreneurs and social entrepreneurs. Please understand that. That imbalance itself is a gap. So the lesson until now, this part is, as teachers, we must help our students discover opportunities, either for business entrepreneurship or for social entrepreneurship. The first step in capacity building is enabling this discovery. I would say first 2 years are a little early, unless the student is an exception. Sir, angadan sir, whether it's a rule or an exception, garda neenga dhaan judge pannum. Please understand, sometimes you get exceptional students. Pinjiliyam tulutadnu solluva andha mari. Sir, is it true or not you come across exceptions? I know some exceptions. The guy, I mean, sir, people are studying in 10th standard, they actually come and share very good ideas. But not everybody does that. If you choose 1,000 students, you hardly might get one who with that kind of exceptional brain. Are you getting it, sir? So that judgment of whether it's an exception or ordinary, only you can make. But since you asked, I'm telling you, third year is a reasonably good time to crystallize one's thoughts in a program. But you can prepare them from the first year. Okay. Yeah. Anything else, sir?
Feel is at least right in the first year, we have a lot of talents, and when they go to their second year, most of them they get, I might say them converted into the usual seniors trend. So before that happens, we should guide them and take them to a better space, a space where already higher semester students are working in these domains. So that time you might get more better results. That's what we feel at Sahyadri. So we already have launch pads in each department where are like-minded students who are working in projects and community-related activities. So as soon as we identify good students in the first year, we put them in this like-minded team. So thereby the student identified is next nurtured, or else we might lose a lot in when they go into the second year. So that's what we feel.
Good. Sir, we also de-initiated means with the first years, instead of giving like a just assignment, we implemented like you should bring some social entrepreneur. What he said, I implemented in introduction to biotech. The first year itself, I divided a 44 student in 11 team, and every 4 members should give some product that anyone can prepare. For example, everyone knows cheese, but anyone know beetroot cheese? It's a hemoglobin improved cheese. So that is the way we brought the student now. So I assigned these things.
You just send them to Europe, Germany, Austria, Switzerland. They will understand that there are hundreds of types of cheese.
In India only, even Amazon, why we got the idea, in Amazon, if you see vegan cheese, the price is 1,700 rupees for a kind information. 1,700. It's just collected from soybean milk and they prepared that, so the price is this much. So we have the opportunity in white. That's why, as Sir said, in Europe and Israel we have the white, but in India, that lack. Everyone know how to prepare cheese in every woman, in a village, everyone know. But no one taught the entrepreneurship way. That is the way also it comes. Since I said the Coimbatore, we are also some rural areas. Most of the people need really some stipend kind of thing. That's why I given the project simply that getting 5 paper, the assignment, then we are using just to print out one side is a really waste. As I say, Sir said. So we given only this. I told everyone I will help you to register in Amazon. While studying itself, we earn now itself. So that is the way I implemented that my subject now itself in entrepreneur way.
And how come there is a big transformation which is quoted as a good social?
Yes, sir. So the need came in wherein Sri Prabhupada saw that the kids were snatching food from a dog's mouth. So again, that condition of living survival with the dignity, honor, and that's what they identified. Now we also have Cult Fit, wherein they are also providing, they are providing healthier food for people. So,
Cult Fit is a big success.
yes.
How many of you know Cult Fit? So it's a very big business now, sir. You should please Google and see Cult Fit.
So both
Just by one of the Mintra people, no?
Yeah,
I think the person was in Mintra.
that I'm not correct with.
Cult Fit is I'll check up and tell you. I think
Yes, sir.
there was some entrepreneurial connection earlier. I remember that much. I don't remember exactly what.
Yeah. So both.
Cult Fit, C-U-L-T-F-I-T.
So both.
A fitness center, which is doing great business.
So So both the ends, they cater for food. So how?
Outfit is not only food.
Yeah, they also have.
Also food.
Yeah, also food. Later on. Yes. So how that cannot be said as a social enterprise?
I'll explain. That difference
Yes.
I'll explain that difference after
Okay.
we go through the session.
Yes.
But this was Stephen's early question also.
Okay.
How do we go to core concepts and differentiate that? We do that.
Yes.
How do you distinguish a business enterprise from a social enterprise? Mukesh answer. Flipkart, Culfit, Myntra. Correct, I was not wrong. Mukesh Bansal, Sachin Bansal's. They founded Flipkart, no?
Thank you so much, and welcome everybody. Good morning, and thank you all very much for participating in this project. I'm really excited to share this journey with you. As Sandeep said, I've been associated with CSI now for a long time, and I'm really delighted that we have this British Council grant and that we can share some of the things that I think we both learned, both of our organizations have learned over the last few years in social entrepreneurship with you as you start your journeys in trying to embed social entrepreneurship into your curricula and in your universities. So I thought what might be nice, and I don't know if this microphone situation will allow it, but I see you've all got microphones there. Would it be possible just for you to introduce yourselves to me, just so I know who you are? So if you could just go from the back, if you could just say who you are, and the university or college that you work for or represent.
Hello, good
Hi.
morning. I am Dr. Amuda Charashila, working in the Department of Humanities and Social Sciences at Sri Venkateshwara College of Engineering, and have been taking care of women entrepreneurship development programs there for the past 3 or 4 years. Yes,
Great, thank you so much.
Good afternoon, Pathik. I am Professor Anthony Stephen from Madras School of Social Work. We organize a social entrepreneurship program, 2 years program on MA in social entrepreneurship, where 30 to 40% of the students are from engineering background.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, Pathik. I am Dr.
Morning.
Srijit Vignesh from JKK Nataraja Education Institution. I am also a member of JKKN, Center for Social Innovation and Entrepreneurship Center, which is located in our institution, and we are trying to identify societal problems that is prevailing in and around our institution, and we are trying to give some solutions to the problems that is prevailing over there.
Fantastic. Great, thank you.
Good morning, Dr. Pathik. This is Nazar Khan from the same institution, JKK Nataraja Educational Institutions. I'm a Community Engagement and External Communications Manager. I'm on behalf of one of the institutions, Pharmacy College, JKK Nataraja Pharmacy College. I'm here. And whatever the things he has told us.
Great, thank you.
Hello, Dr. Pathik. My name is Gautam. I'm coming from Sayadri College of Engineering in Mangalore in Karnataka. I'm a program lead for the Social Innovation Center at our college and also a professor in the Mechanical Engineering Department.
Brilliant, thank you.
Good afternoon, sir. I'm Anita from Panimla Engineering College, taking care of women entrepreneurs in our college.
Sorry, I just missed that last bit. Could you just repeat the last sentence?
I'm taking care of women entrepreneur in my college. Giving
Great.
awareness program to girls.
Excellent, thank you.
Good morning, Pathik. I am Dr. Pugadendi, professor from CSE department, taking care of the entrepreneurship development cell in Panimalan Engineering College. We've already done a lot of programs, skill development program and entrepreneurial program and awareness camp in our college. Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Good morning, Pathik. I am Kumaran from Sri Shakti Institute of Engineering and Technology. taking care of entrepreneurship cell in our college to motivate the students to do entrepreneurship and social awareness entrepreneurship programs. Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Hi, Pathik. This is Dr. Karthik. Ashram was in biotech, and I'm also leading that ESL too. I am particularly ESL coordinator of biotech department. So I'm trying to do through biotech through some social entrepreneurship and other entrepreneurship programming I'm leading in Sri Shakti Institute, same as Kumaran's college.
Same Sri Shakti. Great, thank you.
Morning, Dr. Pathik. I am Sendil Velan, working as project officer in our Sri Venkateshwara College of Engineering, Chennai. I am getting involved in promotion of entrepreneurship, tech startup and incubation in our college for the benefit of science and technology person. As a development, now we are diversifying our activity into social entrepreneurship also.
Great.
Very good morning, sir. I am Dr. Ilaivil from same institute, Sri Venkateshwara College of Engineering. We have Entrepreneur Promotion Incubation Center. We are having a technology-based startup. Now we are planning to get course for social entrepreneurship in our autonomous institute.
Great, thank you.
Good morning, myself Anita. I'm from Madras School of Social Work, teaching in the Department of Social Entrepreneurship.
Great, thank you. Wow. So that's a really diverse mix of people and disciplines. And it seems as though some of you have already been working in social entrepreneurship, and some of you are now starting from entrepreneurship and moving into social entrepreneurship. So that's really useful for me to know. So what I'm going to do is we have about 30 minutes, and I will talk to you about the work we're doing right now with the Social Impact Lab. I'll tell you why I think social entrepreneurship education is very important, particularly now in higher education, and in particularly for engineering colleges. And then I'll talk to you at the end about the resources that we're developing for you. So hopefully those resources will be available in a couple of months' time, and we'll talk more about how you can access those resources very soon. But let me start off just by talking to you about the Social Impact Lab, which I run, just for you to get a flavor of the work that we're doing and the journey that I've been on over the past 5 or 6 years. So I run, hopefully you can see the screen. Yeah, can you see it? Great, okay. So the Social Impact Lab is our community for students to develop skills, build knowledge, and learn through experience to lead sustainable social change. So you see that we don't use the term social entrepreneurship as explicitly as we once did, and that's because of a shift in the way that our students, firstly, it's a shift in the way that our students engage with that term, and we are a comprehensive university at Southampton, so we have students from engineering. In fact, we have a really strong engineering school, but also we include humanities, social sciences, biological sciences, and management, and also a medical school. So our mission is to be university-wide. We're not here just to work with one small group of students, and this is, I guess, in some ways quite relevant, especially for those of you who are working in social work schools or with non-engineering students. Is for us, we found that especially when we're working with women and female students, that the term entrepreneurship, entrepreneur, business, they tend to turn those students off. So they don't think that they could be entrepreneurs. They don't think that business is right for them. But when we talk about sustainable social change, we see a very different reaction, and we see those students engaging. So we've deliberately broadened the scope of what we offer, although social entrepreneurship is very much central to the offer. It's not the only thing we do, and importantly for us is that we're changing the language so that we can engage and reach more students. Now, unfortunately, this does not allow me, I don't think, oh, yes, it does, sorry. So as I said, we try and reach as many students as possible, and for that we use the Sustainable Development Goals as our framework. So as I'm sure all of you know, there are 17 Sustainable Development Goals, and they have been in place since, I think, 2015, and the idea is that these goals will then expire and we'll have met these challenges by 2030. Now, obviously, that's not going to happen. We're nowhere near meeting any of these challenges, but it's a useful way for us to frame social change. So when students are thinking of challenges and problems and ways in which they can make a difference, and the kind of solutions they want to create, we frame them around these 17 goals. And typically at our university, students are really interested in renewable energy. They're very interested in reduced inequalities, gender equality, clean water and sanitation. So, and actually responsible consumption has become, for us, the most popular sustainable development goal. And I don't have time in this session to talk to you about some of the businesses that our students have started, but hopefully we'll be recording a video which you can then access, and we'll talk to you about some of the most recent social enterprises which our students have launched. And they are dealing specifically with the ideas of responsible consumption. And just to give you a quick flavor of that, we have 2 new social enterprises which have been launched, and I'll share the links with you through Sandeep. One of them is called Zvich. So Zvich is a social enterprise which is tackling fast fashion. So fast fashion is obviously a really big problem around the world because the fashion industry has a huge environmental and water footprint. So Zvich is a way for people to acquire new clothes without buying new clothes. And so it works by people uploading clothes to an app called Zvich, and then other people will upload their clothes. And if there is a match between the clothes you want to swap, then the 2 of you can then exchange those clothes offline. And Zvich has been running now for about a year, and something in the region of 50% of our university students have signed up to Zvich, and then we're trying to roll it out across the UK. The other responsible consumption social enterprise we've launched is called Neighbour, and Neighbour encourages, again, this is a student app, is encouraging students to borrow goods like things that, like household items, like kettles, like irons, like tools that you use to build things, and games. So instead of buying your own every single year, because maybe you have the same thing at your colleges, but when our students arrive, they all buy the same set of household goods, and then when they leave, they have to sell them. And so instead of buying new things, we're encouraging students to share them instead. So these are 2 social enterprises that we're supporting over the course of this year. And again, as I said, we'll have a video later which will showcase some of our social enterprises. Alongside these goals, as I said, we have 5 ways in which we think students can make social impact. So the first is through advocacy, so being a vocal advocate and a champion for a social cause. Another is research. One of the things we found is that a lot of our students are really interested in using their research to create social change, and some of that is just producing cases of social enterprises because we don't have enough. So we have students right now writing dissertations and writing research projects which look at social entrepreneurship. And the third is civic engagement, so students working with the community. The fourth, of course, is social entrepreneurship and innovation, and the fifth is volunteering. And actually what we found is when students are engaged in, say, advocacy or volunteering or research or civic engagement, it then leads them into social entrepreneurship. So when they've engaged with a problem in a creative way, they then realize, actually, you know what, there is a gap in that solutions landscape. People aren't making the right kind of intervention and there is space for me and for my team to then create our own social enterprise, our own social venture. So while these seem like 5 very different paths, we find that they intersect and students go on a journey and they have a better understanding of the challenge that they'd like to change. So finally, just to explain our model, we believe, and I'll talk about this in the next section actually, about why it's important, why social entrepreneurship education is important, is that we think there are 5 underlying skills for students: critical thinking, creativity, emotional intelligence, problem solving, and people management. And through all of our programs, we encourage our students to do all of these, to build all of these skills. And all the activities that we produce are geared in different ways to getting our students to develop each of these core skills that we think are crucial, not just for social entrepreneurs, but for our students to become employable in the 21st century marketplace. Hi. Hello? Hello?
Hello?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Did it cut out just now? Or did you hear me? You heard everything?
No, we were able to hear you.
Okay, all right, I'll continue then. So, just to give you a brief overview of our programs, and you can find all of this on the website, and the details are at the end of this slideshow. So we categorize our offer into 3 elements: skills, knowledge, and experience. So because we're a university where our students mostly do 3 years or 4 years, they develop through that process. But we think fundamentally we want students to engage in our programs in order to gain skills, knowledge, and experience, and they do that in different ways. So for knowledge, which we think is the foundation that our students understand social impact and social entrepreneurship, we have a speaker series, and our speaker series is where we invite inspirational leaders in social impact, some of which are alumni of our university, but some of which are just national, global social impact leaders, to come to our university and speak to our students. And we run them last year we ran it 4 times a year. This year we've rolled it out, and it's now 8 times a year. We have a dissertation prize for students interested in using their research skills to create social impact. We have a newsletter that comes out every month, which features social innovation case studies, features our news, new programs, activities, and our partners. And we've just added a new careers opportunities page, which lists all of the opportunities for jobs and internships around the world in social impact. We have skills, so we have a social enterprise module, which we run from October to January, which is available to students across university, and which I'm running right now. We run social innovation challenges throughout the year, so we've done a couple with CSIE on waste management and clean water, and we had a recent social innovation challenge around big data, which we ran with computer sciences. We have a summer school in July. We have Spark India, which I'll talk to you about in a bit, and we have what we call seed funding. So students who want to create their own social enterprises can apply, and we have different levels of funding. And we have 2 rounds, one in December, one in June. And finally, we have internships with partners all around the world, and we have those available through the year. So this is an example of our speaker series. So we have speakers, as I said, from all around the world. 2 of these speakers are alumni. So one in the middle, Debs Carter, she's an alumnus, and she runs a social enterprise, a national award-winning social enterprise that tackles mental health. But we also have people from non-social entrepreneurship backgrounds, like Shelvin, who's one of our most illustrious alumnus, and he's a refugee lawyer. And we had Lord Victor Adebowale, who is the chief executive he's the chair of Social Enterprise UK. And we have a very good relationship with Social Enterprise UK, which means we get speakers coming down quite often. This is Spark India, and some of you may have seen, we were featured in the Education Plus section of the Hindu today, which features Spark India, but Spark India is our fellowship program, and it's kind of the crown jewel of our international work. And it's a really competitive program where we invite students to work with our partners in India over the summer, and our students take leadership classes and workshops alongside that. I'll skip that video, but it'll become available. If you want to find out more about the Social Impact Lab or our work, and you just want to kind of see the model of what we do, then please do check out the website. At that web address, you can email us at SocImpLab@Sutton. We're on Facebook, on Instagram and Twitter. So please do encourage your students to join our Facebook page, because we have resources for them. So whenever we run a video event, we have a speaker series, we talk about case studies, we have competitions, and all of that information is available through our Facebook page, and your students can all participate in that and gain those resources for free. Okay, I will stop the share there. I hope that was useful, just as an overview of the kind of work that we've been doing. Did you have any questions? Okay, if you don't, then I will go on to the next section. So I wanted just to talk to you about why I think social entrepreneurship education is so important, especially right now. And I think it's important in India in particular. India's obviously where the number of graduates is increasing at a rate at which the economy cannot absorb them. And that's, I'm sure that's something that you've seen quite obviously through your colleges and universities. So universities are producing a lot more graduates, and I know it's not just an Indian phenomena, it's happening all around the world, it's happening here in the UK. The problem is that our economy, the global economy, is not growing fast enough. So it can't absorb this, the number of graduates which are now entering the graduate workplace. And the reason why this is happening is because, firstly, the problem is that there just aren't enough jobs. But the second problem, I think, is that we are producing a lot of graduates that look very, very similar. So when you're on the other side of the fence, when you're an employer, and we know this from the research we've done with our employer engagement teams at the university, and I sit on the Russell Group Employer Engagement Commission. So this is a commission that the 20 most prestigious UK universities are part of, and our role is really to listen to employers when they tell us what they think about our graduates. And these are graduates who are not just from institutions like Southampton, but from Oxford, from Cambridge, from LSE, from Edinburgh, from some of the best universities in the UK. And what they tell us is when they see these graduates applying for jobs, they look very, very similar. They've come out with 2-1 degrees or first-class degrees, and academically, it's very difficult to tell these applicants apart. So the value of a university degree is not what it used to be. It used to be 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 20 years ago when I was graduating, and maybe when some of you were graduating, the thing that made you employable was the graduate classification. It was, are you top of your year? Are you in the top 5? Are your marks as high as they possibly can be? But that's shifting now, because you're not just getting 5 students achieving exceedingly high grades, you're getting hundreds, you're getting thousands. And employers need some way to tell these applicants apart. But one of the big trends now is employers who are saying, we don't care about the classification of the degree. It doesn't matter if you graduate with a first-class degree or a second-class degree, because practically we get a lot of students who look very similar in terms of their grade profile. But secondly, academic excellence does not correspond to the ability to do the job well. And that's something that we've been hearing a lot. So students who are academically some of the most capable that we produce in the workplace are not succeeding, because employers tell us they have these great academic skills, but they don't translate to the work we do. They're not good at being creative. They're not good at being problem solvers. They're not good at working in teams. They're not good even at time management, really. So all of the things that we thought we were doing right, and you know, we call this University 2.0, the university that we've been, the system, the model we've been running in the 20th century, that model is now broken and clearly isn't relevant for the 21st century economy. So what we need, I argue, is something called University 3.0 or 3.0. And that's a university which is less concerned with content, because content is now free, right? You know, you can get content anywhere. If your students want a world-class education in engineering or a world-class education in management, they can do a MOOC. They can do an online course from Stanford or Harvard or Yale. And it will cost them, you know, from zero to £100, £150. So the content isn't important anymore. The thing that I think we as educators need to start to do is to provide our students with the right kinds of experience, where they can develop those skills of creativity, problem solving, and entrepreneurship, and working in teams. Because these are all the things that employers say they want that graduates don't have. So there's been a real shift, I think, in what employers want from us, what the economy needs from us. And that means a shift in the way that we teach. And the thing that drew me into social entrepreneurship, and the thing that still excites me about social entrepreneurship, is that I think you can't teach social entrepreneurship in the same way that you would teach management studies, or the way that you would teach any other subject just by lectures and seminars. You have to create a different kind of learning environment. So the social enterprise module, which we teach, for example, which I'm teaching right now, is a module where students develop their own social enterprise model over 12 weeks. And we bring in mentors from business, our employers, who are our partners, from alums who come in and mentor our students. Our students learn case studies, and we do have some knowledge, and we have understanding the problem of social entrepreneurship, but we used a flipped classroom model, which I'm sure some of you know. So they learn about social entrepreneurship kind of in the abstract in their own time, but when they come to class, they work on building their social enterprise model. They work on problem solving. They work on working in teams. And so they have a very different experience than they would do on other courses. It means, of course, that students enjoy it a lot more. They find it very engaging because they're not being talked at. They're giving a bit of direction, but really the initiative is on them to use the guidance we give to create something. And so we find typically that students never miss classes. You know, where on other courses that across the university, we're seeing attendance go down, where they're very lecture-based, but where you've got project-based, or what I call challenge-based education, attendance is always above 95%. Students come, students aren't late, and most importantly, when they are there, they work, because they're in teams, and they're not there just to sit forward and just listen to someone, you know, on a stage with a blackboard. It's a very different kind of learning and teaching experience. So I think we are moving towards this University 3.0, where students and teachers are changing the learning environment. And we're creating environments where students are gaining the kinds of skills that will make them ready for that 21st century workplace. We're creating that environment where we can invite employers in. And one of the things that we've been doing over the past 4 years is, at the end of the module, we get employers to come and act as judges for the models that our students create. And what's been great for me personally in terms of feedback has been that employers, having seen what our students have produced, because they see the prototype of what they've done, but they also hear their pitches, because the students have to pitch for 7 minutes. They see the students have developed a different kind of skill set. And so they're very appreciative of the different kind of skill set and the graduate employability that we've been able to create with our students. I'll end this section just by saying that while I think it's very important that we respond to what employers tell us and we evolve to meet the needs of the economy, the reason why we've done this in the first place is actually because students have told us it's what they wanted. So we're seeing the rise of students who are very mission driven. And in our business school, it used to be that students would just care about profit. All they cared about was how can we create a business that's going to maximize profit that then we can use either to get rich or to enrich shareholders. And that dynamic and that motivation has radically shifted over the past 3 or 4 years. Our students care about the triple bottom line. You know, profit's important, but profit's only important operationally, so we can then drive our social benefit, our social impact, and our environmental impact. So while it's important that we do this for the sake of the economy, none of this would work unless our students themselves were willing participants in that process. So I'm really glad that all of you are part of universities and colleges that are really in the vanguard and the forefront of this change. So we just want to congratulate you for the work you've done so far, and I hope that through partnership we can help to catalyze and accelerate the impact of the work you've been doing. So let me now finish, and I think I'll maybe just have another 5 more minutes, if that's okay, just to explain our plans. So as well as the fantastic offline physical work that Sandeep's team is doing there with you, we're also producing some great online resources for you. And last week I was talking with 2 of our partners, one of which is the Global Social Enterprise Institute, which I hope some of you have heard of, who have started a new program called Social Shifters. And we've been working with them over the past 2 weeks to develop another suite of programs, which we're going to make completely free and open to all of your students. And that's called Steps to Startup. So Steps to Startup it will be organized like the Business Model Canvas. So in all of the sections of the Business Model Canvas, we will be producing resources for your students, which you can then use in your courses too. So we have worksheets and videos on every part of building a business, from prototyping to supply chains, to managing cash flow, to identifying problems. We have a social impact canvas, we have a customer value proposition canvas, and all of these resources will be made available to you, hopefully in I think, the beginning of January onwards. So that's one exciting resource bank which we're going to make available to you. The second is we have a license with Babel, which actually Sandeep's team, James's team, and us have been working with Babel for a couple of years as well. So Babel is a digital platform where students can create online business projects, and very much like Step to Startup, it's organized in terms of the business model canvas. Students can upload information to each part of the business model canvas. As educators, we can check their work and see what they've produced, but we can also invite alumni to come on board and industry mentors to come on and mentor them as part of their communities in these online projects. So there, I hope, 2 really useful resources that will help you. I am planning to come to Chennai in mid-January, so I would really, really like it if you could connect with me on LinkedIn. And if time permits, I would love to come and visit a couple of your colleges, to speak to your students, to speak to you, to see what you're doing, to support you in your work. And please do encourage your students to join our Facebook page so they can get access directly to some of the free resources that we have to offer. So that's all from me. I realize I've been talking for a long time and I've been talking at you, which is exactly what I've been saying we shouldn't be doing. So apologies for that. All of the slides that I've been going through and all the links will be made available, so I'll speak to Sandeep to make sure that you can access all of those. But that's all from me. I'd now like to welcome any questions, comments, anything that you'd like to ask.
Yeah, thank you, Sandeep. It's a wonderful talk. We have some doubt, like you said, that the global project, so that we can upload and you can command. So that means the project you will send, we will perform and upload, or whatever we are already doing, like the student project we should upload, then you will do some assessment, like evaluation kind of things we will do, or how it is? How you plan to do this global project?
You're talking about the platform?
Yeah.
So what happens is that we create a community on the platform, and then students can upload their project to that community. So it's for projects in development. Does that answer your question?
It's not exactly. I'm asking, what is your role? If we upload, do you evaluate, and what you will do? What is your role in this?
What's my role?
Yeah.
Well, my role is just to facilitate the community. So I won't be evaluating the projects myself, but I will. But we've created the community, and we will ensure that the community meets your needs. So one of the things that we will do is we can customize each community and the methodology in the canvas. So depending on what you want your students to upload, we can then customize that canvas. So say, for example, you wanted a section that enabled them to upload the video of a prototype. We could create that in the community and on the platform. Say there was more detail you wanted on cash flow, then we can create that as well. So really, my role is to facilitate your use of the platform rather than evaluating the platform, the projects.
Thank you.
Dr. Pathik, I have a question. During your presentation, you mentioned about the outcomes of the program, that is into critical thinking, creativity, emotional intelligence, problem-solving capabilities, and people management skills. So, how do you do the evaluation of these outcomes? Could you just share?
That's a great question. Yeah. That's a great question. So there are many ways in which you can do it. If I'm the method that I use that I find the most effective is actually self-assessment. So at the start of our program, we get students to self-evaluate against each of our criteria, and then we get them to evaluate again at the end, but they have to provide their own evidence for why they think they've moved along that scale. Because what we found is all of the ways in which, for example, you can measure creativity are very subjective. And so creativity to one person is not creativity to someone else. But what's important is that students have the confidence to be able to articulate the movement of their skills themselves. And we've also found, because one of the worries we had was that if we give students the scope to self-assess, they would just say that we've moved from 0 to 50, or they'll exaggerate the amount of the increase in their skill component. But in reality, we haven't found that. So we've run this now for 4 or 5 years, and students tend to be very honest when they self-evaluate, because they're not doing it for anyone else. They're not posting this on LinkedIn. They're not posting it to employers. This is purely for themselves. So we find self-assessment to be an excellent tool. Another thing that we do is where we have external mentors, we ask our mentors to rate students in terms of these 5 components. And that's useful. And I said it's not scientific, and I think anyone who says you can measure these things scientifically, I don't think you can. But I think you can arrive at an intelligent, educated way of trying to evaluate this. So when we get mentors on board, we get the mentors to give students feedback on each of these 5 characteristics. And the students find this very useful. It's not something that we take outside, and we don't encourage students to use quantitative measures. We rather say, when they're talking about the work they've done, it's a very qualitative experience, and they say, so in terms of the creativity, this is the process we did, this demonstrates my creativity, and this is what it says. So we try as best we can to, if it's quantitative, we try and make it self-assessment. If it's qualitative, we make sure that it's backed up with examples. And we find that the mentors we bring on board are really happy to give that kind of feedback.
Okay, thank you.
Shall I ask? Is it audible?
Yeah, go ahead.
See, you said there are 12 weeks course module on social entrepreneurship you are offering in your institute.
Yeah.
Is it possible to share the content that you are having? Can you share that module with us so that we can also go through and see how our
Absolutely.
syllabus?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's one of the things that I want to share. I've been a bit hesitant to share it before now because I think it needs explanation. So one of the things, and I don't know, Sandeep, if we can plan this, but when I come to Chennai in January is I'll bring the handbooks with me, and I'll also give you digital access to the handbooks for you to use. But it'll be useful for me just to explain why we go through it step by step, so you understand the rationale behind it.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll give you that access. Yeah, please go ahead.
At what level we can play the role of financial aspect? Any financial commitment in offering this?
Sorry, you're saying a commitment for financial commitment?
Financial aspect. The students or a host institute. At what level we have to play that? Any commitment is there in financial aspect? Fees?
Not from our side, no. So the project we have is to develop resources and support. It's not to offer financial support.
Thank you.
Yeah. But I think, what I find is your ability to get financial support, and the one thing I would definitely encourage you is to look at companies. I think industry is really interested in social entrepreneurship, but they're interested in investing in centers and courses which have got a good track record, and where there's a good methodology behind it. So I think as you develop your courses, you'll find your ability to get financial support becomes a lot easier.
I have one more question, Dr. Pathik.
Sure.
In terms of student exchange programs, can students from our institution be a part of the exchange program at the Social Impact Lab, so at your space? Will that be possible?
We can definitely explore it. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, when I come in person, it'll be good to talk about that as well, because I know British Council are very keen to support UK students going to India, but actually the support for students coming from India to the UK is not as strong. And that's one of the things I think we need to address. And so where it's possible for us to absorb students, even on short-term projects, and we'd love that to happen. As I said, we do have a summer school, which takes place in June and July, where students will get a flavor of our work, so I can share those details too. But yeah, very happy to explore how we might look at exchange partnerships too.
Yeah. Thank you.
Great. Okay. If there aren't any more questions, is there one more?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That regarding the skills, you told critical thinking to people management, how you are evaluating all those things, that's fantastic. So my question is, these skills are necessary, I hope. At the same time, how you can suggest us to develop such skills to the students?
Yeah, so I think it's a good question. The way that I do it is, as I said, it's got to be experiential learning. So you can't develop problem solving by by reading an article and then writing an article about it, right? That's not a way to develop problem solving. Or it's the kind of problem solving that is a kind of problem solving, but it's not the kind of problem solving which enables you to demonstrate what you've done. So what we found is really important to make that learning experience very explicit for the students. So, for example, when we're doing prototyping, which we're doing this week in our class, we frame every single week of the module as a problem or a challenge. So the challenge in prototyping is which kind of prototype will you build that will enable you to move your model forward? Or what kind of prototype will you build to gain new data and new information that you didn't have last week? And so I think when you make the module and you divide any learning experience, any learning experience into a set of questions and problems, then you make that very, very explicit. And so when students have then completed the course, they can actually say, well, you know what, we've solved 12 problems. We can name exactly what they are, and we've got an example for how we met that particular challenge. So we take away that struggle that students have when they're not able to express the problems that they've solved because they're often wrapped up in bigger problems. And so we make that a very explicit and open part of the learning experience. So that's how I would do it. And I think you have to create environments where they're tested explicitly in those skills. We run, for example, we have a wallet challenge in our module as well, where students have to design a wallet for different customer segments. So they have to create a wallet for young students, you have to create a wallet for people like me in my 40s, they have to create a wallet for a woman in her 60s. And that requires not just problem solving, but creativity. And so we break it down. So we say, well, how are you going to create something which they will buy? How are you going to create something with a strong value proposition for that demographic? And so breaking down what these things mean, because in the abstract, creativity is a very broad thing and a very broad concept. But when you say creativity is the act of creating a valuable product or service for a particular group of people, then students can grasp it with a lot more certainty. And as I said, it isn't just about doing it, it's about what you can then say about it. It's very important that you create a learning experience, in my experience, where students can then say, I was creative here, I solved a problem here. And they can talk about it with a level of confidence and clarity for themselves, but also for employers.
I understand. Thank you.
I hope that helps. Okay. Apologies, everybody, but I have to go for my next Skype call. It's now 10:30 here. It's been a real pleasure speaking with all of you. As I said, please do add me on LinkedIn. I think Sandeep has my email address. I will forward these slides and my email address to you. Do get your students to join our Facebook page, and do let me know if you'd like me to visit your college in January. I'm going to be in Chennai in the second, from the 10th to the 15th. I think, or maybe the 10th to 17th of January. I haven't yet quite confirmed those dates, but in that period of time. So maybe we'll try and arrange something again like this, or I'll come and visit some of you as well. But I hope you really enjoy the next 2 days. I think it's great that we've created this community. I hope you're able to learn from yourselves as well. And thank you very much for your time. Thank you.
Thank you, Pathik. So I'll wait for your email, then I'll forward it to all the faculty here.
Great.
And now I would like to thank you on behalf of all the faculty and CSI for taking your time and doing this webinar on a short notice. So I hope you have a great day today. And
thank you so much.
See you soon when you're here.
Yeah, absolutely, Sandeep. Great. Thank you all. Bye.
Thank you and bye-bye.
And that's where our discussion focused on the idea of value. And this part we should clarify, because what we are discussing is a systematic way of discovering value. It's a very systematic way. So you look at survival level, or at the first basic aim of humans, which is survival, you see where all value can be created. And we saw many examples of value, right from air to water, you know, and even within water people have differentiated space. All of you know that, isn't it? Food, which is another great space. I talked of this because especially we have Karthik, who's in biotech. Biotech, the food space is, agriculture and food processing space is a very big space for social enterprises. By social enterprises here, I mean where some otherwise disadvantaged communities can raise their quality of life. We talked of the act of survival and the quality of survival. So it's not even an assumption, it's knowledge that when people can earn more, their quality of life can go up. But we should also understand there is economic phenomenon. Always there are limited resources, and when more people can compete for the same limited resources, prices will start going up. It's a standard economic phenomenon, okay? So it's very important that we strike a balance, okay? So this is where we have to understand the limitations of social enterprises, because there are economic phenomena that can happen beyond the interventions of social enterprises. I hope you have understood this, okay? So even if we create avenues for people to earn legitimately, slowly your prices will start going up, because resources are limited, and in some cases the competition for the resources is also very severe. I hope you got this idea, okay? Not only that, that's where social enterprises and social entrepreneurs will have to interface with both the regulatory bodies, government, etc., as well as with corporate entities to create a balance. So I thought that is an idea we should share in our meeting. So in our work on education for social entrepreneurship, we should include the possibility of interfacing with bureaucrats, interfacing with government policy makers, interfacing with the law, interfacing with the private sector, etc. So that is important. Why? Because value has to be delivered to the beneficiary. This is the point, okay? So today I will discuss the core difference between the social enterprise and a business enterprise, because that's a question which I think is uppermost in your minds also. I'll rub off this part. Yeah. For a few times since the morning, I was mentioning that the core transaction between two parties is value, okay? So in a business enterprise, you have a person called the seller, and then you have a person called the buyer, okay? And depending on the nature of the market, value is transferred from the seller to the buyer, okay? Either the value is pulled by the buyer from the seller, or is pushed by the seller to the buyer. Very simply speaking, if it's a buyer's market, that means if buyers are more powerful than sellers, I hope you got it, then sellers will try to push value. If sellers are more powerful than buyers, then buyers will have to pull value according to their capacity to pay and so on. But value is transferred. So please note, one important lesson we must share with all our students is, nobody buys a product or a service. A product or a service is a packaging. What we really buy is value. This is a very, very important point. It's a very important point. Anytime you buy something, you're actually buying value. You're buying value at a price. I hope you got it. This is a very important point. People must understand this. That is the reason why, as teachers, it's important for us to elaborately talk about the concept of value, which is what you are now doing. and we go down to the nuts and bolts of value. I hope you got this, sir. So literally speaking, when you have ice cream, are you buying ice cream or are you wanting to buy the experience of eating ice cream? The taste, the flavor, the feel, etc. What is it that you are actually buying? Now you can go deeper and see. You're actually buying that experience of taste, feel, smoothness, coolness, etc. And of course, a certain image also is there, okay, depending on what you want to do. So this notion is central, sir, that you are actually buying value. Even if it's a service, forget a product, okay. So when you're buying toothpaste, you are buying the value in the toothpaste. You're giving a price for that. The toothpaste is a physical manifestation of that value. It's the physical form of that value, okay. So this is very important. Now in a business transaction, usually you have a return which is usually in our world is money or price. And different business models happen because of the combinations by which you can deliver value from the seller to the buyer, and different combinations or modes of payment back to the seller. I hope you got this idea. That's where business models come in. I think somebody is going to talk to you about different business models, okay, and the purposes for which the whole transaction is doing. Now this whole thing is called a primitive transaction between seller and buyer, or root transaction, okay. It's the most basic transaction. Now what makes this transaction a business is the principle of quid pro quo. Quid pro quo. Now what does this principle mean? Sir, this is the difference. Gautam, you are asking. This is the core difference. In a business transaction, the quid pro quo is a compulsory condition. You cannot have a business transaction without a quid pro quo. Quid pro quo means both have to happen in some manner. Are you getting it, sir? Let us take a few examples so that you understand. If I want to buy an apartment, please note that this may become something. I am the buyer of the apartment. But remember, what do? I take a loan from the housing finance organization. Correct or not? Housing finance organization gives me loan. And what do I give in return? EMI. Are you understanding? So this is how the model works now. Now do I make the full payment to the seller? No. For example, you know, when you want to buy the apartment, at time t is equal to 0, you have to make an initial payment to confirm that you are buying the apartment. Did you get the apartment? You didn't get the product. Are you getting it, sir? So, but you make a payment. Then when the ground is surveyed and the foundation is laid, you make another payment. Then when the what do you call that? When the, not lintel, what do you call that? The lintel na first floor andro. When they build all the foundation, etc., you basement, yeah. You make another payment. Lintel comes, you make another. Then for every plate, they will tell you, and last you will pay 5% or 10%, and then the handover will happen to you. Am I right or wrong? So that is one model by which the payment is made and the product is delivered to you. Okay. Now please note, this is very intricate. Is the buyer the user? No. I may buy an apartment, I may rent it out to Ilayvel, sir. So who is the user, me or Ilayvel? Who is using the apartment? Are you understanding? These are, sir, exactly, be very careful. Always the customer need not be the user or the enjoyer. That is why even in the law, there is these are important when we are talking business. There is a difference between who is the owner, who is the possessor, who is the user, who is the enjoyer, who is the controller. The law differentiates among all these people. They are not the same. Okay. I may be the owner, but I may give a power of attorney to Sendil, sir. So who becomes the controller now, me or Sendil? I hope you got it. Sir, please note, this students must know, these are all not the same terms. The owner need not be the user. The owner need not be the enjoyer. I buy a motorcycle, I give it to my friend for him, or I give it to one of my students to take his girlfriend to somewhere. So who is the enjoyer of my motorbike? It is my student. Please understand this. I am the owner of the motorbike, all right. Okay? And if the motorbike is caught in a traffic offense, who is the controller? The policeman. I hope you got it. So these roles are very important when we talk of it. Have you understood the business idea? Is the seller the producer? Not necessarily. Sir, this is where, just for general knowledge, that's where we talk of supply chain and value chain in management. This is where that concept comes. What is the supply chain to produce a product, and how does value get added across the chain? Are we clear, sir? Have you understood quid pro quo? Quid pro quo means both directions the transaction has to happen. Otherwise, it is not a business transaction. This is clear. Now, I'll just replace all this. Okay? We are now almost through, and if you have any questions, you can ask, and then we can discuss later when we meet, because you also have to go. Okay? Now, I replace, okay, the S into a social enterprise and an intended beneficiary. Sir, this is the point where Satyajit Majumdar and I differ. I think many of you know Majumdar, sir. He doesn't agree with intended beneficiary. I say, look, whether you like it or not, there is an intended beneficiary. Okay? So it's a question of how you want to look at it. Okay? I'm not saying he is wrong. I'm saying his perspective is different from my perspective. I am in the position that if there is a social enterprise, there is an intended beneficiary of that social enterprise. Somebody benefits from that social enterprise. It's a fact. Nobody can deny that fact. Okay? But the point is, the quid pro quo now, the difference is this. The quid pro quo becomes a question. It is not compulsory. So is the difference clear, sir? The most important difference is the principle of the quid pro quo. The moment the quid pro quo is compulsory, it is a business transaction. Now comes the question, sir, what about organizations where the quid pro quo is compulsory, but it is a social organization? Now that is the intersection area which we talked of in the morning. I hope this is clear. There are social enterprises where the quid pro quo is compulsory. I gave you an example, Selco, Keg Farms. I mean, you can look at many social enterprises. Why, even Lions Arvind Hospital. Okay, but that is where we come to what is known as the spectrum of social enterprises, the hybrid spectrum of social enterprises. Okay, where you can have a pure play, at one end you have a pure play donation based social enterprise which has no other ways of revenues or income, only donations. That means they completely survive on only donations. I'm sure we can identify quite a few like that. There are slightly mixed ones where they'll have donations on some products which they produce which are sold. For example, if you take CRY or even Cancer Concern, Helpage India, there are many where they have some products which they sell. Am I right, sir? Yeah, they have some sales which are happening. I mean, there is a business phase also to that. But is the business model important or serving the children important? Selling the children. This is what I said. Sir, the moment the social mission dominates the business mission, even if there is a profit-centric operation, it is a social enterprise. I hope you got it, sir. That's all, sir. This is the only differentiation. But who is to judge? You have to judge whether the social mission dominates the business mission. That you have to judge. And yes, in fact, almost all NGOs are social enterprises. In fact, if you come to farmer producer organizations today, it's a new type, it's for all practical purposes they are social enterprises. I hope this is clear. Amul is a social enterprise. It's one of the large profits. In fact, it's a surplus centric organization. It's a cooperative. Yeah. You have one end I told you is donation. The other end is pure profit play.
That I get it. No doubt. But there are certain organizations who talk about the social enterprises. They say that wealth creation is the only social enterprise.
Sir, that is a trivial argument, sir. That is a trivial argument. For them, sir, the moment my meter goes towards wealth creation, see, suppose I'll put it this way, sir. Let's say person X is here, person Y is here, and I am an enterprise, okay? If push comes to shove, if I say, even if I get hurt, I will help X and Y, I am more of a social enterprise. If I say, no, my survival and profit are more important than helping X or Y, but I am helping creator, I am more of a business enterprise. Whatever argument I may give, saying that I am wealth creation, in fact, many organizations will say, damn it, I am giving employment, I am automatically a social enterprise. That's a trivial argument. In fact, I will counter, if you don't give employment, you don't survive. Are you getting it? So let's not get into that argument. That's foolish. It's not a right argument. I hope you got it.
Why I ask this question is, moment I have taken over this
Yeah.
I wanted to map the social enterprises in Tamil Nadu.
Yeah, sure.
Because there is no.
No, I'm looking at the time so that we are.
When I do the mapping, I should operationalize what social.
Correct. Correct.
I have spoken to few people.
Yeah.
Who are into different understanding of social enterprises. There are contrast opinion also people have.
Sir, opinions will vary even if both of us agree with the definition. When it comes to a particular enterprise, whether it's social or not, we'll fall into the gray area, Stephen. That's all right. That is all right. Because you're literally, in our language, that means you've got into the intersection area. That is the meaning. You've got into the gray area. That's all. That's okay. That difference can come. And if at all somebody has to decide, let's say, let's leave it to the law of the land. Why should you and I talk about it? If you and I are in the same organization wanting to support a social enterprise, then we have other mechanisms to find out whether it's a social enterprise or not. But I am giving you the principle. And I hope, Stephen sir, you agree, we have ways of testing whether the heart of that fellow is on the social mission or on the profit mission. That both of us can do. It's not that we are so foolish, we cannot even test that. Isn't it, sir? So that is the trick.
Academic institutions. Please go ahead.
Illamma, suppose, very good point, Anita. Social enterprises have certain tax benefits. So for somebody to claim a tax benefit, legally they must be recognized as a social benefit in the registrar of companies or societies or whatever it is. Are you getting it? If the fellow is lying there, somebody can take the fellow to court, saying that, sir, you are lying. You are not a social enterprise. You are getting an unfair tax benefit which you don't deserve.
But that is obtaining their identity itself.
Correct, Anita. That is the point. Do you agree there are fraudulent organizations that project themselves as trusts or foundations, claim a social status, but who are operating on a different platform or not? Are you getting it? In fact, it's very important. Sir, thank you for this. One of the things you can do is to create some examples from the legal literature of organizations that have been debarred. I'm sure you go to a good lawyer, they will tell you that these are the organizations that were originally meant to do something, they did something else. Somebody took them to court and the court said, sorry, you are not this. Now, you understand the regulatory aspect, Anita. See, this is where the law comes in. See, suppose I am a farmer, I'm just giving you an extreme example, do not, it's only for illustration I'm saying. Suppose we are all farmer producer organization and we are growing ganja. We are a social enterprise. Correct idea? Are we a social enterprise then? No, correct, ma'am. See, please understand. Marijuana is legal in more than 140 countries. In India, it's not legal. Now, Anita, you got law of the land becomes important. You tell me where you are operating. You are operating in some country where it is legal. I don't have a quarrel with you. In India, do not claim social status.
In India, 2 states have been declared they can
Sir, irukkunna paravalla, sir. I know I studied in Rajasthan. I know many people scold and the chillam smoke pannuvaanga. It's very, very common in Rajasthan. Okay, I'm not arguing right and wrong. I'm not arguing. You are correct. If it is allowed, I don't have a quarrel with you. If it is not allowed, don't claim the status. This is all I'm saying. Sir, every organization says, sir, I am giving for CSR, I am automatically a social media. Sorry, because there is another aspect to, you are giving CSR because the law says you give. Have you given it voluntarily? That's my question. So there is a difference between you following a set of rules and acting in social interest because you are compelled to act, and you voluntarily, proactively, with desire and good intention, you acting. There is a difference between the two. In fact, I want all friends to know, one of the finest truths in India is, in Indian traditions, legal, moral, ethical, we have always given greater importance to intention than the outcome of an action. Please understand this. We always check what is your intention. Ultimately, that's why. Now, Stephen, do you agree subjective judgment? And I say, if we cannot settle it, there's a court to settle it. You go by the court. Whatever they say, if you don't like it, go to the Supreme Court. If the Supreme Court also rules against you, then say thank you very much. Maybe I am wrong. That's all. What else can you do? Procedurally, that's what. I hope you got the idea. Yeah.
Charitable trust and all coming under the...
They can come under social enterprise. Trust can come under social enterprise. Sir, Akshay Patra is a trust, sir. Am I right, Sir Gautam? You can check Akshay Patra, I think it comes under a trust. Sir, in our country we have trust, we have society, we have section 8 or old section 25, you have farmer producer organization, you have cooperative. Put over it, sir.
Now Infosys has Infosys Foundation, which again...
That's a trust. That's a trust. So we have different forms. By the way, this is another lesson we should bring in our curriculum. We should tell students these are the different legally recognized organizational forms in which they can present themselves as social enterprises. And say these are the ways in which you can operate a cooperative, these are the ways in which you can operate a trust, these are the ways in which you can operate a section 8 company, because the reason is, depending on your intention, one of these forms will be the best suited for your operation. I hope you got it. Are you getting it, sir? Sir, IIT Madras is a society. Can we claim that IIT Madras is a social enterprise? The answer is yes and no. Because there is a part of IIT Madras which has a strong social phase. I hope you got it. FACE. There is a part of IIT Madras which has a business phase, which is not a social enterprise. For example, I will not do consulting without a fee, which is a quid pro quo. It's a pure quid pro quo. And my intent is not great social benefit, etc. My intent is how much am I earning, how much am I giving to the institute. It's not just IIT Madras. Any IIM, IIT, NIT, this is what they do. So there is a phase which is pure business. There is a phase which is social in all our business. I hope you got this. Is this clear, sir? I hope this is clear. So you internalize. The point I make is there is no absolute judgment of what is a social enterprise or not. I hope that's clear. There is a subjective judgment, but there are some principles to guide you to make your compass work. Yeah, the spectrum is there. From pure profit to pure donation. And in between there are middle, like Lions Aravind Hospital. If you are rich, please pay, because from what you pay, I will give 3 poor people the same treatment, same quality. So I am social. Because otherwise that fellow cannot get his eyesight properly. He has no way of economically paying. Yeah.
Yeah, probably some of my doubts are clarified.
Okay. Gautam, are you clear now?
Yes.
Okay.
Sir, can you just debrief this one once again, sir? Like in the previous model, you explained that there is a value chain that comes.
Yeah. Sir, here also there can be a value chain. Sir, there are. In fact, you must read those some of the papers, hybrid spectrum paper and all. Then you will get too many examples. There are many hundreds of examples, Gautam. Read the list.
Sir, return back once again as a money.
No, it may or may not happen. It may or may not happen. Gautam, it's very important. One of the skills we must give our students, you can note it, is the ability to draw a picture of the transactions between a social enterprise and the intended beneficiary and any intermediary. You should be, like I drew a picture, you should be able to draw a picture. So when you draw a picture for Amul, you will get a very interesting picture. When you draw the same picture for some other social enterprise like Selco, you will get a different picture. If you draw for Banyan, in Chennai, you will get a different picture. The model will be different. Are you clear? Yes, it's not exact. The business model canvas is different. I mean, it has relationship with what I am telling, but what I have shown now is a good way to enable students to understand that these are the transactions happening between the concerned parties. This is what you can share. Okay, sir. I hope your question is answered. So thank you very much, because it's late in the evening. I know it's unfair, but if you have anything, please feel free. My contact details you can be taken. I am available on phone, mobile. You can call me anytime. Mail. So if you have anything, I'll be happy to help out. No, I may not be here tomorrow. It depends on Sandeep. I told Sandeep also. Okay, because we have to complete this discussion. Unfortunately, we didn't, because we didn't have enough time. But my idea was in the morning, in a minute I'll tell you, was to ensure that all of us get some shared clarity on what each other is doing. And I was very happy to look at the variety in front of me, what each other is trying to do, and we can learn from each other, and then get into the common conceptual round. This is what I have attempted. Okay? No, nothing like that, ma'am. I'll be happy to be of help. I'm a friend, I'll help. That's all.
Wednesday afternoon again.
Yeah, I should be here. Okay? Actually, what happened was Wednesday, I was scheduled in the morning, but suddenly I got a call from Telangana government that the education minister wanted to meet some things. I said, okay, I'll come. Then suddenly he said, no, 3rd of December. I said, thank you very much. 3rd, I've already committed, I can't come. So somebody else will be going instead of me. And when I told Sandeep, poor Sandeep had already made alternative arrangements. So all this dynamic happens, sir. But anyway, we can be in touch. And I hope today was a useful day. And anyway, so let us work towards, there are some data. I hope you noted the points which we must share with our students. See this skill, give them this skill. Tell them different forms of business organization which are applicable. These are all the parts of the curriculum which we must tell them.
You have asked some of us to...
Yeah, your contribution, because we should share with ourselves. Tomorrow, yes, bring it and keep it, because we'll put it in a... Yeah? Yeah. Great. So thank you for your patience.